Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels, and thank you to our supporters Cobra Garden and Mr Fothergill Seeds. This week we're back in Jonathan Moseley's garden. I'm going to have another look round and we're going to see him create a wonderful floral arrangement. So I see you're preparing these lovely flowers that you've cut from the garden. So these are now ready to arrange, or will be?
They are, yes. So they've had a really good drink and they're now ready to craft into a bouquet, Martin.
Because you're taking off all the lower leaves as well?
I am, yeah. A bit of preparation work, which is a bit tedious but worth doing. So just stripping away, just removing any lower leaves or any branchy bits or any knobbly bits that might get in the way. So I just use my hands to just brush down there, or you can use a gardening glove just to clean those stems away, or a foliage stripper if you want the professional device. And things like roses, just getting rid of any thorns, because we don't want to damage our hands when we're actually going to be making the bouquet. So bit of preparation work, laying it out into groups, so when I'm ready to start I can just flow with the flowers.
Well, I'll let you finish that. Can I just have a quick mosey around your garden?
You might spot some weeds out
there.
I'll
pull them out, don't worry.
Thank you.
Jonathan's created lots of areas in the garden borders. This is a border that's got some hot colours in, but other areas it's lots of greens and pastel colours. And this one, like all of Jonathan's borders, is packed full of plants, some really interesting plants here that are going to give colour all the way through the seasons, from spring right the way through to the autumn, and then the grasses will give that winter interest and structure as well. But I particularly like the salvias, and these have got really popular. These are the shrubby salvias, Salvia microphylla, and this one is called Hot Lips, and it looks like a pair of hot lips. And this is probably one of the hardiest of the shrubby salvias, and it will grow outside all through the year, and here in North Derbyshire it seems to be thriving. And then we've got this type here. These are the herbaceous type of salvias, again totally hardy. Don't confuse them with the bedding plant salvias, and these are usually in spires of mauve or blues or purples, and these are really good for attracting pollinators and bees into the garden. And when they're mixed together like this, they look really, really good. One of the other things Jonathan's got in the garden are some lovely roses, so I'm just going to have a look at some of them. The soil in Jonathan's garden is quite clay, and he has improved it over the years with lots of compost and manure. And one of the things that grow really well are roses, and he's got roses dotted around informally around the garden. There are shrub roses, bush roses, climbers and ramblers. This is a beautiful apricot one that's climbing up this obelisk, and I think the idea is to take it out the top and let it cascade over like an umbrella. And then the real big one, of course, is the one over my shoulder at the top of that conifer, which is Rambling Rector. Only plant that one if you've got a big tree or a big garden, because it is quite big and vigorous. But I'm going to pop and find Jonathan now so we can arrange some flowers. Jonathan, I want to look around the garden. You've got some really lovely plants. I love the roses, which I see you're starting with here.
Yeah, my birth flower is a rose, Martin. I absolutely love them. And this rambling rose, which is just rambling behind me here, is Apple Blossom, which is a gorgeous one, and I love that more country style feel. I'm not a big fan of hybrid tea roses.
And aptly named, isn't it, with that pink and white flower?
So
it just
delicate.
Look like an apple blossom.
It really is beautiful. I absolutely adore this rose.
So with all this foliage and flowers from the garden that you've prepared, you're doing your hand tie, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I'm going to make just a very natural, very country looking hand tied bouquet here. And top tip for doing this, Martin, is to start the stems crossing over, so this spiral. So I'm going to feed every stem in at the same direction.
Right.
So I always say to people, it's like driving down a one-way street. You can't reverse and go back on yourself. So I'm never going to go in at that direction.
Right.
I'm going to go in at that direction and then start to build it up. Many of your wonderful Pots and Trowels fans will know that Alchemilla mollis is great in the garden, but it is a bit of a thug. It's a bit invasive.
But perfect for this, isn't it?
Perfect.
So you are picking them up. You've got big flowers, small flowers, foliage, wispy things. It's just a mixture, really.
It's going to be an absolute mixture that conjures up this time of year, high summer in the garden. And what is quite nice, Martin, is I can make this and I'm not robbing the garden. I've not stripped all the borders and the beds bare. You can just pick a few choice flowers, bring them indoors to enjoy, and just celebrate all those beautiful blooms.
Now, you make this look very easy when you're doing this on stage, because you're not only are you putting together an arrangement, but you're talking to the audience and having a laugh and joke with them. I suppose the good thing about this, though, anybody trying it at home, if they're not happy with it, you just take a few flowers out and start again.
Absolutely. The good thing about doing one of these, it's not like doing a formal arrangement where we're wedging it into a retaining source like floral foam or chicken wire. You're just using your hand. Your hand becomes your vase. So if I suddenly think, oh, I don't like that allium there, then I can pull it out and think, oh, I might want to place that one in at that direction. So you can move it. And a good tip is to keep spiraling it in your hand. So if you do this using both hands, you can turn it so you can get to the part of the bouquet where you think, oh, I look a bit unbalanced there, or it's a bit weak there, it needs some more colour, and then we can feed an additional stem into there. Because
you look like you're just picking these up randomly. Do you try, if you've say got 3 big stems of roses, you try and put them in evenly, or do you just let it go in naturally and evolve?
I think for a bouquet like this, you just let it evolve more naturally, because if you become too formulaic and think, right, I've got one there, need one there, it possesses a degree of symmetry then which looks alien to this style of arrangement.
See,
because
that's where I'm going wrong.
some people have got more of a mathematical brain. I clearly haven't, Martin. And I don't overthink it. I want it to look almost like a bee buzzing through a border, so it's just bouncing from one flower to another, and it's not too contrived. I think that is the secret with it. Don't get it too contrived.
I'm overthinking it. I think that's the thing. I'm trying to make it symmetrical but natural, and you can't, because that is already looking better than what I do. So
I think another tip, Martin, a good tip is don't squash it, don't hold it too tight when you arrange it. Some people grasp it so tight like they're strangling it, and then those stems are looking really uncomfortable and massed together. Keep it loose. So you need to control it, but not squash it.
But that's a problem sometimes, because you feel that if you don't hold it tight, you feel it's going to fall to bits and drop on the floor.
That is the fear factor. People get really perplexed and concerned that, oh, you know, I'm going to lose some of these flowers, they are going to drop. One stem's feeding in that same direction next to another. So each time you add a stem in, you're locking that earlier stem into place. So it's very rare that it will all drop apart.
Right, okay. So the garden here, how long have you been here?
We've been here 17 years now. So I started the garden from a blank canvas. There was basically a wall of conifers surrounding every element of this garden, which took all the light out, all the goodness out of the soil. Lawn became less, borders became more, and cut flowers took over.
Yeah, I know it's a clay soil, so you probably have to work at it quite hard, but it holds the moisture, and the roses seem to love it.
Roses thrive. It's an odd soil, Martin. Some things that I think would grow dead easy don't. And I have this rule in the garden, you have 3 hits and you're out. So I'll try and grow you 3 times. If you die on me after that 3rd time, I'll move on to something else. Right. But it does amaze me, things like the pineapple broom, the Cytisus batanderii, that grows really well here, which is a bit more of a tender type of plant. Things like lupins, they absolutely love it. Astrantias, we grow oodles of. And for me, I like all the herbaceous stuff. That is my passion. That is my real love.
And works wonderfully in these arrangements, of course, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think there's something just so alluring about herbaceous flowers. They're the unsung heroes, I think, of the garden. I know there's that current trend out there in garden design for everything to look very wild and very sort of naturalistic without any order, but I do like a bit of order in the garden. I think you need a degree of balance and some form and some repetition in there. You don't want it all to just look like a wild woodland garden. No,
this is a lovely hand tie that somebody could do at home, but definitely you do some really big installations as well, don't you?
Yes, this has been the oddest year of my life, I think, like for many of us really, where flowers have continued to play a part in my life for my own personal enjoyment, picking them to bring indoors in the cottage to enjoy. But normally I'm doing arrangements that are huge and containing thousands of stems. All my flower suppliers, you know, I'm a regular buying from them, getting flower deliveries every couple of days. So it's very odd not to be working with a quantity of flowers and a massed amount of flowers. And the industry as a whole has suffered enormously. Floristry has really fell on hard times during this lockdown period. Many of our British growers have had gluts of flowers that they've not been able to find a marketplace for, because obviously florists have been closed throughout the confinement period, and we've had no shows to use up that supply. And during the auctions, prices reached an all-time rock bottom, and more flowers were being thrown away, and growers actually stopped harvesting because it was costing them more to harvest it with no market to sell it. So we have had some real challenging times, and I just so hope that some of these growers are able to bounce back and recover.
So, yeah, because I think lots of people are enjoying British grown flowers and having a go at growing their own. So if you had to give anybody any tips, they want to start growing, probably too late for this year, but for next year, you know, just a few of your favourites that you could put in the garden, either annuals or perennials, what would you grow?
Definitely sweet peas, as I mentioned earlier, because they're the gift that keeps on giving. I would always have some roses, because I think roses are magical. Peonies, it's just coming to the end of the peony time, but peonies are great. You might need a bit of patience, wait a few years until they get established enough to keep flowering. Astrantias, these little chaps, I think are perfect because they flower their socks off. And then for hardy annuals, I think Nigella, which I've got in here, the Love in a Mist, which seeds itself each year, will come back, and definitely some dahlias. Dahlias will flower right up until the first frost, in amongst a few annual rudbeckias.
Yeah.
So
a nice selection of flowers, and of course you can cut loads of foliage out the garden to complement it, and you've got a bouquet.
You've got a bouquet, and you're never without a gift, Martin. You can always give this to a family member, a friend, or a loved one. And if you've forgot somebody's birthday, then you're not in a sticky scrape. You can go and get your own gift and make it. And I've seen some of the lovely hand ties that I know you can make, and you do some very, very pretty
making me blush
arrangements.
Now,
I have seen them,
well,
Martin. You have been with me at shows long enough, and we have worked together, and I know that you two can put a very pretty bouquet together for your loved one in your life.
Thank you very much. That is amazing, isn't it? And
well, I'm just going to pop it in this urn just to finish off there. And I've just tried to pull the colour together. Can you see with the hazel there, just so it links together?
That is amazing, it really is. Now, if anybody wants to find out about sort of events in the future you're attending, or you do classes, don't you, courses?
Yes, courses, workshops, yes.
So how can people find out about those?
Yeah, so my website is just my name, which is jonathanmoseley.com. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm always posting floral inspiration because I think flowers are the gift to share. So I'm sharing a gift from my garden for you today.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's been great to see you, and thanks for letting me see the garden. It's amazing.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and I hope you've enjoyed this look around Jonathan Moseley's garden. It's absolutely amazing, and the flower arranging was too. Next time we're going to be back in my garden. We're going to catch up with some things in the veg garden and lots more tips for you. See you then. Bye.